Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating topic, the engineering of medieval castles. Forget fairy tales and damsels in distress for a moment. We're talking about the real deal, the incredible feats of engineering that made these structures the imposing fortresses they were. These weren't just piles of stones, they were carefully planned and constructed defensive systems. We'll explore everything from the initial site selection to the complex systems of defense that made attacking a castle a truly terrifying prospect. So buckle up as we journey back in time to uncover the secrets of medieval castle engineering. First, let's consider location. The placement of a castle was paramount to its success. Think strategically. Where would you build if you wanted to be safe? High ground was often preferred, giving defenders a clear view of approaching enemies and making attacks uphill and more difficult. Natural barriers like rivers, cliffs, and dense forests were also highly valued. Consider the castles perched atop mountains, seemingly inaccessible. These locations weren't chosen at random. They were carefully selected to maximize the castle's defensive capabilities. They weren't just building structures. They were integrating them into the landscape. Now let's talk materials. Stone was the go-to for many castles, offering superior strength and fire resistance compared to wood. But not all stone is created equal. Builders would carefully choose the type of stone based on its availability and properties. For example, limestone was relatively easy to work with, while granite was incredibly strong but more difficult to quarry. Wood also played a crucial role, especially in the early stages of construction for scaffolding and temporary structures, and later in interior construction. The blend of materials, determined by what was on hand, became a key factor in how the castles looked and withstood the test of time. The motte and bailey castle represents one of the earliest forms of castle design. Imagine a raised earthen mound, the motte, topped with a wooden tower and keep. Adjacent to this was the bailey, an enclosed courtyard containing essential buildings like barracks, stables, and workshops. This simple design offered a relatively quick and inexpensive way to establish a defended stronghold. While vulnerable to fire, the motte and bailey served as a foundation for more sophisticated castle designs. It was a perfect starting point for castle construction and development, evolving over time to the iconic medieval structures we know and love. The keep, the heart of the castle. This central tower served as the last line of defense, a refuge for the inhabitants if the outer walls were breached. Keeps were often the tallest and strongest structures within the castle, designed to withstand prolonged sieges. Think of them as the ultimate safe room, offering a fortified living space, storage for supplies, and a commanding view of the surrounding area. They could be square, round, or polygonal in shape, each design offering its own advantages and disadvantages. The keep stood as a testament to the castle's resilience, a symbol of power and resistance. Curtain walls were the castle's first line of defense, the imposing stone walls that surrounded the inner structures. They weren't just simple barriers. They were carefully engineered to withstand assault. Arrow slits, or loopholes, allowed defenders to fire upon attackers while remaining protected. Battlements, the alternating high and low sections along the top of the wall, provided cover for archers and allowed them to fire down upon the enemy. The height and thickness of the curtain walls were carefully calculated to maximize their defensive capabilities. They were, in essence, a gauntlet that any attacking force had to run. Towers served as strategic vantage points along the curtain walls. These structures provided flanking fire, allowing defenders to target attackers attempting to scale the walls. Towers could be round, square, or D-shaped, each offering a different field of fire. They also served as observation posts, providing early warning of approaching enemies. By strategically placing towers along the curtain walls, castle defenders could create a deadly crossfire, making it incredibly difficult for attackers to approach the walls. These architectural extensions were essential components in castle defense. Gatehouses weren't just entrances. They were formidable defensive structures in their own right. These fortified gateways were designed to funnel attackers into a kill zone, where they could be subjected to a barrage of arrows, stones, and boiling liquids. Portcullises, heavy iron gates that could be rapidly lowered, trapped attackers within the gatehouse. Murder holes, openings in the ceiling, allowed defenders to rain down projectiles upon those trapped below. The gatehouse was often the strongest point in the castle's defenses, a deadly obstacle for any attacking force. Moats, those water-filled ditches surrounding castles. They weren't always filled with water. Sometimes they were dry ditches. Either way, moats served as a physical barrier, preventing attackers from easily reaching the castle walls. A water-filled moat made scaling the walls even more difficult, forcing attackers to wade through potentially contaminated water while under fire. Drawbridges, retractable bridges that could be raised or lowered, controlled access to the castle. The moat and drawbridge combination created a significant obstacle for any attacking force. The bailey, that inner courtyard we talked about earlier, was more than just open space. It contained essential buildings like barracks for soldiers, stables for horses, workshops for blacksmiths and carpenters, and storehouses for food and supplies. It was a self-sufficient community within the castle walls. The bailey was also a staging area for defenders to sortie out and attack the enemy. Life within the bailey was bustling and active, a miniature town dedicated to the defense of the castle. Consider the concentric castle design. This involved multiple layers of walls, one inside the other, creating a series of defensive rings. If the outer wall was breached, the attackers would face another, even stronger, line of defense. This layered approach significantly increased the castle's resilience and made it incredibly difficult to capture. Concentric castles represented the pinnacle of medieval castle design, a testament to the ingenuity of medieval engineers. Think of it like an onion. Peel away one layer and you're faced with another. Siege warfare, the art of attacking a castle. Attackers employed a variety of tactics to breach the castle's defenses, including siege engines, mining, and starvation. Siege engines like trebuchets and catapults hurled massive stones at the walls, attempting to create breaches. Mining involved digging tunnels beneath the walls to collapse them. Sieges could last for months, even years, testing the resolve of both attackers and defenders. It was a brutal and prolonged form of warfare. Castle defenses weren't just about walls and towers. They also included psychological warfare. Defenders would often taunt attackers from the walls, using insults and displays of strength to demoralize them. They might also launch projectiles filled with unpleasant substances to disrupt the attacker's camp. The aim was to break the attacker's spirit and make them abandon the siege. It was war of not just attrition but psychology, aiming to get an opponent to give up the fight. The trebuchet, the king of siege engines. This powerful weapon used a counterweight to launch massive projectiles at the castle walls. Trebuchets were capable of hurling stones weighing hundreds of pounds over considerable distances, causing significant damage to the walls and structures within. They were a terrifying sight for castle defenders, a symbol of the attacker's power. Building and maintaining a trebuchet was no easy feat. It required a significant amount of timber, rope, and skilled labor. This impressive feat of engineering was central to successful castle sieges. Undermining, or mining, involved digging tunnels beneath the castle walls in an attempt to collapse them. Attackers would carefully excavate a tunnel, supporting the roof with wooden timbers. Once they reached beneath the wall, they would set fire to the timbers, causing the tunnel to collapse and bringing down a section of the wall with it. This was a dangerous and time-consuming tactic, but it could be very effective if successful. Defenders would often listen for the sounds of digging and attempt to countermine, creating their own tunnels to intercept the attackers. The well, a crucial element for castle survival. During a siege, access to fresh water was essential. Castles typically had a well located within the keep or bailey, providing a reliable source of water even if the castle was cut off from the outside world. Wells were often deep and carefully constructed to prevent contamination. Some castles even had multiple wells to ensure a backup supply of water. Without a reliable water source, a castle's defenses could quickly crumble. Sanitation in castles was, shall we say, not exactly modern. Garderobes or toilets were typically located on the outer walls, allowing waste to drop directly into the moat or a cesspit below. This system was far from ideal, and the stench could be quite overwhelming, especially in warm weather. Disease was a constant threat, and maintaining some semblance of hygiene was a challenge. Despite the unpleasantness, garderobes were a necessary feature of castle life. Castle design evolved over time. Early castles were often simple wooden structures, but as technology advanced, castles became more complex and sophisticated. The introduction of stone construction, concentric designs, and advanced siege weaponry led to a continuous arms race between attackers and defenders. Each innovation on one side prompted a response from the other, resulting in ever more formidable castles. This evolution reflects the ingenuity and adaptability of medieval engineers. The role of skilled craftsmen cannot be overstated. Building a castle required the expertise of a wide range of skilled workers, including masons, carpenters, blacksmiths, and engineers. Masons were responsible for cutting and laying the stone, carpenters for building wooden structures, blacksmiths for forging iron tools and weapons, and engineers for designing the castle's defenses. These skilled individuals worked together to create these incredible structures. Their combined expertise was essential to the success of castle construction. Beyond military function, castles were also symbols of power and authority. They served as residences for lords and their families, centers of administration, and symbols of the lord's control over the surrounding territory. The sheer size and imposing presence of a castle served to intimidate potential rivals and reinforce the lord's authority. Castles were not just defensive structures. They were expressions of wealth, power, and status. The decline of castles began with the rise of gunpowder artillery. Cannons were capable of breaching even the thickest castle walls, rendering many of the castle's defenses obsolete. The introduction of gunpowder revolutionized warfare and shifted the balance of power away from static defenses, like castles. While castles continued to be built and used for some time, their strategic importance gradually diminished. So if you found this exploration of castle architecture engaging and insightful, consider subscribing for more historical dives, and let us know in the comments what aspect of castles you find the most interesting. Let's think about some famous castles, examples of engineering mastery. Consider the Tower of London, a sprawling complex with a rich history. Or perhaps Caerphilly Castle in Wales, a classic example of a concentric castle with extensive water defenses. Carcassonne in France provides a striking example of a well-preserved medieval walled city. These castles, and countless others, stand as testaments to the skill and ingenuity of medieval engineers. Each has their own unique story and architectural features, offering a glimpse into the past. Castle ruins, haunting reminders of a bygone era. Many castles today exist only as ruins. But even in their ruined state, they still hold a powerful allure. These crumbling walls and towers evoke a sense of history and mystery, reminding us of the lives that were lived within their walls. Exploring castle ruins can be a rewarding experience, allowing us to connect with the past and appreciate the ingenuity of medieval engineers. The stones whisper stories of sieges, battles, and the daily lives of those who inhabited these mighty fortresses. The legacy of medieval castle engineering extends far beyond the battlefield. The architectural principles and engineering techniques developed during the medieval period influenced the design of fortifications and buildings for centuries to come. The lessons learned in castle construction helped shape the development of civil engineering and architecture. From bridges to cathedrals, the influence of medieval castle engineering can be seen in many of the structures that surround us today. Their designs inspired and informed constructions throughout history. Think about castles in popular culture. They've captured our imaginations for centuries, appearing in countless books, movies, and video games. Castles often serve as symbols of power, mystery, and romance. They represent a world of knights, dragons, and epic battles. From fairy tale castles to gritty historical dramas, castles continue to fascinate and inspire us. It's easy to see why when these majestic structures represent ingenuity and determination. Medieval castle engineering was a complex and multifaceted field requiring a deep understanding of materials, construction techniques, and defensive strategies. These structures were not just piles of stones, they were carefully planned and executed feats of engineering that played a crucial role in the history of warfare and architecture. By studying castles, we can gain a greater appreciation for the ingenuity and skill of medieval engineers. Hopefully, this gives you a strong basis to expand your knowledge. So, next time you see a castle, whether in person or in a movie, take a moment to appreciate the incredible engineering that went into its construction. Think about the challenges faced by the builders, the strategic considerations that influenced the design, and the lives that were lived within its walls. Castles are more than just historical monuments. They are testaments to human ingenuity and resilience. They represent a pivotal era in human history, shaping societies and defining eras. Learning about medieval castles offers insights into various academic domains. Historians gain understanding of medieval warfare, society, and power dynamics. Architects study the evolution of building techniques and defense strategies. Engineers explore practical applications of physics and material science in castle construction. This interdisciplinary approach allows for a comprehensive understanding of castle engineering. In essence, it connects us to history, architecture, and the practicalities of medieval life. Exploring medieval castle engineering teaches us about the history of technology. From the humble motte and bailey to the formidable concentric castles, each innovation reflects the technological advancements of its time. This provides a timeline of problem-solving and creative adaptation. The innovations implemented in castle designs served as stepping stones to later architectural advancements. It is a testament to the continuous evolution of human ingenuity. It is crucial to remember this as we approach modern-day architectural and societal challenges. The study of medieval castle engineering encourages us to think critically and creatively. These architects had to balance resource availability, terrain limitations, and the need for robust defenses. Today's engineers face similar constraints, so understanding these historical challenges can help inspire new solutions. What are some of your thoughts on this discussion? Make sure you drop a comment down below and tell me which castle you would want to be king of.